Yo, welcome to a brand new episode of Society and Pop Culture 101. I am Instructor BK.
I am Instructor Novocaine.
And on today's show, we have a guest instructor with us, our dear friend, the homie, the big guy, Mr. 6'9".
Hey,
JT.
woo!
What's going on, y'all? Thank you for the introduction. It is nice to be inside the classroom.
Okay.
We've been wanting you to be on the show for so long, and we missed the opportunity last season. So we're making up for lost time. Oh, I'm sorry, last show, because this is a whole new show now. So it's like anyway.
Yeah.
Aha.
See,
So-
you see what he did there.
All right. So on today's show, we're gonna talk about Mr. McMahon. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about Marks with Mike, the podcast that you host along with Cheech.
Well, Marcel Mice is a wrestling, hip hop culture podcast. We just shoot from the hip. We tell y'all what we like, what we dislike. We recap shows, we interview wrestlers along the way. But we're basically definitely just, I don't want to call it barbershop talk, but call it like a family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the vibes over there really do be like really good. I enjoy coming on the show when we get time to come
Same.
over, because we are wrestling fans. Even though we don't get a chance to talk about wrestling a lot, but because of the situation with Vinnie Mac, it was imperative that we had you on the show so we could discuss this lawsuit.
Ooh.
He was like, I don't even know if I want to talk about it.
Oh no, I could talk about it. I just know what it's a lot of stuff to unpack here.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
67 pages worth of unpacked stuff
Mm.
and counting.
Before we get to that lawsuit, though, Novocaine, do you mind reading this first slide we got about the character? Because we want to compare Vince McMahon, the TV character, to his real life persona.
All right, I got you. So the subject matter today is Vince McMahon, who debuted in That's an extra W?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, that's-
WWF.
Oh, interesting. That's something I did not know. WWF in 1971 as a ring announcer. His official title is chairman of the board WWE. Is he still chairman or ex-chairman now?
We're talking about the character. We're talking about
The
character.
character. Gotcha. Being on commentary since the start of WWE in 1996, he was outed as being the actual owner. Since then, he would go on to change the wrestling world by using his power to wreak havoc on the WWE landscape, which ushered in a wrestling renaissance known as the Attitude Era, 1997 to 2002. As the Thorn in Stone Cold Steve Austin side, he would continue the feud with The Rock, Mankind, The Undertaker, Kane, and DX. Eventually, his influence would form alliances with all his rivals and garner him various championships like the WWE Championship.
Anybody got anything they want to say about the character Vince McMahon? Any cool?
Very
I know
cool.
it's taboo, but we're just talking about the character. I think it's fair. We can still discuss the character, right?
All right.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead, JT.
The character, and after hearing and reading what I've read, the character from the TV show is almost, I don't want to say identical, but there's some comparisons there. There's some things that are very alike. Mr. McMahon, the character, was an overbearing, over sexualized old man,
True.
pressing himself up on young women, but also he was a boss that made you kiss his ass if you wanted your job. So,
Fact.
there's a lot to unpack about the character itself, But just going back, looking at his characters and the various relationships that he's had on screen with multiple different women, some of these have led to lawsuits, one by Sable, you know. So looking at the character Vince McMahon versus the allegations of Vince McMahon, it's almost looking, you know what I'm saying? But these allegations, I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any, Novocaine, do you have any favorite moments of Vince McMahon? Because we're going to go down the rundown of the accolades of the character in a second here. But before we get to that.
So looking at it from like an entertainment standpoint, he definitely put on a show for sure. One thing that we mocked as a kid was that daggone walk he would do.
That walk was strong, boy.
That walk was stanky.
That walk was stanky, okay? So I would agree with JT here. It is starting to seem like, oh, this was you for real, wasn't it? But during that time and living through it, like, you know, we didn't think twice about it. But I would say from during the Attitude Era, if it wasn't, parts of me feels like if it wasn't for Vince McMahon characters, some of the other characters wouldn't be as great as they are.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
By him being that boss figure and hearing people, the older generation now, talk about how they were, because they were teenagers and early adulthood, and how they felt when they were working, and then they finally get to see someone take it to their boss. Like, the best heroes always need the best villain to go against.
Yes.
Batman wouldn't be so cool if the Joker didn't exist. And I think the genius of Vince McMahon, and I know people hate when people are in trouble, you talk about people in positive lights, but you got to give him props for that. The genius of Vince McMahon, everything he learned, that character was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he used whatever he could use to make himself the most evil human being possible, and it worked. It gave WWEF at the time the highest ratings, and it was really a wrestling renaissance. But we also understand that most wrestlers say, especially Stone Cold, you have to put a little bit of yourself in the character, and Vince McMahon made a little bit more than a little bit.
Things the character Vincent Kennedy McMahon has done: became the boss from hell. That's hilarious. Caused Bret Hart to lose his WWE championship by ringing the bell early. Lord. Secretly took over a cult and kidnapped his daughter, Stephanie. Dog. All right, pause. Right there. This storyline?
Yeah.
The corporate ministry storyline was amazing.
It was me, Austin. It was me all along.
It was me. I don't never forget how he said Stephanie is pregnant with I think he said like a 8-pound, 7-ounce anteater. I was like, what? What? Who says that about their own daughter? Like, what?
Yo, I love that moment. That's my favorite Vince McMahon moment of all time, by the way. The character.
Yeah. And then that's another one that kind of make you like, oh, so we see why the daddy-daughter thing just not there.
It was a lot of weird daddy-daughter moments in this era. It's too much to name. Trying to figure out what like the best beats to talk about here in this one section compared to all the stuff over like 30-40 years of material here. So I'm just trying to get the best of the best to give us something, to some meat, and not give us everything. You know, we only got an hour. You know,
I got
you. Go ahead, do your thing.
He became WWE champion and the ECW champion. He won the Royal Rumble. Hilarious. Purchased WCW, beating out his son Shane. He said the N-word. Beating out his son. Pause. Shane. He said the N-word.
We got to talk about that, but I don't know if you want to talk about it here, or you guys want to wait to talk about it when we talk about Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Yes. Lost hair in a bet with Donald Trump. He rocked the do-rag, became level 9.
That's a running joke from the old show. I had to bring it back. I'm sorry. Do-Rag Vince was level 99 Vince. I don't care what nobody said.
Nothing to play with out here, okay? Do-Rag Vince was nothing to play with, and I still love that meme to this day.
Hey, Vince, okay? Now I'll be remiss not to bring up Do-Rag Vince. That man, Do-Rag Vince is a legend within himself, and he is level 100. Okay?
Yeah. He gave away money to real people live on Raw. He died by someone blowing up his car. Hilarious. Came back from the dead. Hilarious. Started the Kiss My Ass Club.
That's an accolade. That's a true accolade. The man got blown up in the car and came back.
And he came back. You're right.
Like
he
the next week, miraculously.
He pulled a Goku. It's true.
Not the Dragon Balls.
We got to gather all Dragon Balls to wish.
All the Dragon Balls for Vince McMahon.
Stephanie, hurry up and wish me back.
Hey, stop what you're doing right there. That's something you're gonna have to stop right there. That voice. He also started the Kiss My Ass Club. Found out his long lost son was Hornswoggle.
That thing. I think everybody wanted it to be Mr. Kennedy, and then it was Hornswoggle. We was all disappointed.
Continually mocked his wife by having relationships and affairs with various women wrestlers. Spoiler alert. He degraded women wrestlers in over-sexualized moments. Extra spoiler alert.
And I think that goes back to what you were talking about, JT, where you said my man's was just out here just with Sable and Trish, Stacy. Like, it felt like whenever he can put women in vicarious moments like that, he took the opportunity. Dawn Marie. Even Maria. Speaking of Tori Wilson, she came out and said it was basically horrific for her doing those bra and panties matches, or when Lita had to do the live sex scene with Edge. Like these are things that did not go well at all. It doesn't. These things don't age well.
He wrote.
It was in great then. It was in great then, honestly. Like when they came down to the bra and panties match, I was like, "What is going on here?"
I'm not everybody from you.
Everybody walked out the door, except for my older brothers, of course.
As a kid, I stayed in the room, but I don't think I actually ever really liked the matches. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what was going on?
When Jazz came on the scene and she was out here beating women, like for real. When Jazz came on the scene, I was excited because I'm like, oh, we got somebody like a tough girl. Like,
I totally agree.
Out here brawling. So that was like, for me, those were my favorite moments. Shout out to Jazz because she's amazing. And put her in the Hall of Fame, Triple H. Do the right thing. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Jazz does deserve the Hall of Fame. And I definitely agree with you to some extent. I was that kid that watched the match just to see if I could see a nipple because I was that young, horny kid. You know what I'm saying? But as an adult, nah. Like, looking back on it, all that was trash. Like,
it was trash. It wasn't entertaining.
No.
I saw more nipple on HBO, so I didn't care. Like,
yeah, to be clear, I just want to. I'm not saying that I didn't like looking at the. I'm not saying I ain't like looking at the frames, but just the framework of the match for me. I was actually looking for like wrestling. You know what I'm saying? But
no,
that's not to say that. That's not to say that I didn't find Stacy Keibler's legs amazing back in the day. That was like my thing. I was like, oh snap, here comes Stacy and them legs. You know what I'm saying?
Her theme song, She Got Legs. Like, come on, man. Like, how basic is that of a theme song?
It was pretty basic. Also, like, remember King and the puppies?
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh.
And the older we got, we find out that Vince is actually in their ears most of the time. Is like, yo, come on. Although King didn't need any help.
No, King
didn't need help. This is another one too. I know y'all remember the whole train.
Shout out to my boy, man, Godfather. Shout out to
the Godfather.
You did an interview with Godfather a few years back, right, JT?
Yeah, and also interviewed Jazz as well. But Godfather, that right there had to been one of the funnest interviews I've ever had. Period.
Yeah, so it's
I
cool
gotta go
that
back
we
and
got
watch that
people.
then.
It's cool that we got people in the circle.
Did y'all talk about the whole train?
Yeah, we talked about the whole train. It was Vince's idea.
So it was Vince. That's all Vince. It's cool to have people in the circle with this.
We already knew it was
breadth
Vince's
of
idea.
knowledge.
We already knew it was
It's
Vince.
something else that happened in this era that I thought was weird. Well, it was right after the Attitude Era. What was the lesbian group? Well, was it just the Lesbians? Was that the name of it? Or Hot Lesbian HLA?
HLA, Hot Lesbian Action. Yep.
I think that was the moment.
Why do I remember that?
It was on the TNN time.
Yeah, this is doing Eric Bischoff's run as general manager. You had Hot Lesbian Action, which was also Vince McMahon. Like I did.
Who was a part of that?
We don't know the women.
We don't know the women by name. We just know it was a lot of hot lesbian action. Like every Raw, like if I want to say like 2 months straight, it'll just be a segment of just women kissing.
And that's not even to talk about how he would use the male wrestlers to come in and just decimate the women wrestlers.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say they couldn't wrestle. Like if we're having a normal intergender wrestling match, I am fine with that. But if we're doing the gimmick, just let me beat up on the women for the sake of doing it because they're women, especially in that era, that's how it comes off, you know. So I disagree with that. And we are getting into the actual Vince McMahon, and we've been doing that a lot. So let's go ahead and move on to talk about Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr., the real person.
I ain't gonna lie, Vince was like the villain from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Wasn't that Boris?
Yeah.
Boris and Natasha.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let me get into this.
That was a funny joke that's staying in.
Yes, it is.
Yes, please go ahead and get into Don Diego De La Vega over here. But Vince McMahon looking Hispanic. I ain't gonna lie.
He do. I'm trying to think of what movie I was just watching recently. What's the dude? I cannot never remember the actor's name, but he is in a whole bunch of stuff, and he was in the Transformers franchise, the one that worked for Sector 7. I forgot this man's name, but he played some type of Latino guy, and I swear
like the human version.
He looked like this picture.
He looked like the human version of Mortimer Mouse too. I don't even know how that's possible.
Oh.
We ain't never getting into WWE after this episode. All right, come on.
Who trying to? That's another conversation for another day. Subject matter: Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr., born August 1945. Damn. Official title: Executive Chairman of WWE TKO. After meeting his father, Vincent J. McMahon, at age 12, Vince became enamored with the wrestling business. After Vince attended college, he would work for Vincent J. at the Capitol Wrestling Company, the parent company of WWF. In 1979, he pushed to rename the WWF to the WWF. In 1980, all these W. In 1980, he started his own company, Titan Sports. 2 years later, Titan Sports purchased his father's company. From that point, Vince became the most polarizing person in pro wrestling. Shaping the business in ways he sees fit. I didn't see
in my research for Vincent Kennedy McMahon, finding out that he didn't meet Vincent J. McMahon until he was 12 was a bit shocking because the way so this is the thing. When companies need a good narrative, they're going to spin it to make it as sympathetic as possible. The fact that he didn't use that is
it's starting to give that he was never a daddy even when he came into his life at 12. He was just trying to be a businessman.
Exactly. And I thought that was an interesting little tidbit there. So I really wanted to include that. Is there anything else that stands out here for you guys before we move on to the next slide?
Not Vince McMahon having daddy issues. Daddy
Yeah,
wasn't
because
there.
when he
I was
purchased,
just gonna say
Yeah.
that. Daddy,
I'm trying not to curse on this show, y'all.
Don't cuss. Don't
The
cuss.
fact-
You're doing good.
The fact that he waited till his father was on his deathbed to finish purchasing what was the rest of the company. Kind of cutthroat. It's a little cutthroat. I mean, we should be used to his Vince McMahon, but still, just a little, just you know what I'm saying.
But that was younger Vince, so that was extra cutthroat.
Maybe, but he seemed like a pretty mild-mannered person until his daddy. And this is me speculating. At some point, when he first met his daddy, he started coming around the business. He was definitely wanting to be a wrestler, and his dad was like, "Well, you can't be a wrestler if you own the wrestling company," which that advice he did not take. Eventually, he became whatever it was he wanted to do in that ring.
This picture, this is during the Attitude Era right here. That's a comb over, ain't it?
Stop, man! Just read.
He had that Bosley.
Y'all beating this man while he down. Come on, man.
I don't care. I'm sorry, just him though. I don't do this on the regular. It's him. Things Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. has done: created WWE, created and sold the XFL to The Rock, purchased WCW, ECW, Stampede Wrestling, Maple Leaf Wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling. Dang, that's a lot. And then he just merged it all? Or they all...
He just kind of used them for their library, right?
Yeah, he grabbed their libraries and grabbed their talent along the way, too.
Yeah, he basically ended the territories. For a long time. They didn't exist. Mm-hmm, you hear your grandparents from time to time talk about how much fun they used to go to like Stampede and Georgia, and how it just don't exist anymore, and Crockett and all that. You know. Anyway,
I never heard of these places.
You gotta be from the South. You know what I'm saying? It's a Southern thing.
I'm pretty sure all our Southern friends are hip, but thank you for getting me hip tonight.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
He created storylines to the great women. He said the N-word. So Vince, the actual person, and the character both said it in two different settings. So
no, it's the same. It's the same N-word, but you know, because when you're a character saying it, it's one thing. Like if Leo DiCaprio said it in the movie, it's like, all right, he's acting in the movie. But given the history of Vince McMahon, it seemed like a little bit more of a... I'm not saying he was racist, but the way he treated black talent and the way black talent never got up, you know.
Oh, he was one could speculate. What's up, my
hold on. You know what I meant? You know what I meant to say before we started this part? Everything we say from this point on.
Allegedly.
Just to be safe. Just to be safe. All right, continue.
You could even flash that joint in the edit. Just throw it at the beginning. Let me just talk it.
To make sure that was clear. You know what I'm saying?
He was accused of rape in 1992 by the first female referee, Rita Chatterton, when she made an appearance on Now It Can Be Told. It was corroborated in 2022 by former wrestler Leonard Nzitari. That sounds right.
I want to say it sounds right.
Chatterton filed a sexual abuse lawsuit. Vince settled in the same month for an undisclosed amount. You know what they say anytime they settle.
Yeah, it was corroborated in Vanity Fair, and that original interview that she done was with Gerardo Rivera, by the way. Gerardo Rivera.
Gerardo. I was about to say his name is definitely Gerardo. I was like, hold on, wait, time out. The hush money scandal of 2022 in April, a WWE board investigated a $3 million in hush money settlements. The investigation discovered NDAs totaling $12 million, which also involved John Laurinaitis. In October, WWE discovered unrecorded payments made to settle sexual misconduct totaling $19 million. What?
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I didn't see that. I didn't
and
read
this
that
was
part.
like
That was this past October?
Like
2022.
Yeah.
Oh, of 2022.
So when we talk about this other one later, this is like the sequel to the original. It's like a continuation in a sense.
This man also stepped down as CEO in June 2022. He continued to oversee creative, of course. Retired from July 2022 to December 2022. He helped usher the sale of WWE TKO merger, which was pretty huge actually. In January 2024, Janelle Grant filed a lawsuit that shook the WWE, TKO, and the entire internet. The graphic nature of her claims caused advertisers to pull funding during a pivotal weekend. Vince will later once again step away from WWE, TKO.
And if it wasn't for Cheez-It pulling their funding from the Royal Rumble, I don't think Vince would have moved out.
Cheez-It?
When did Cheez-It?
Slim Jim.
Slim Jim, sorry. If it wasn't for
Slim Jim.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Slim Jim pulling out, I don't think Vince would have he would have stepped down.
It's done.
No, they came back after Vince in that the same day or the next day.
Oh, so Vince that's why they were so pressed to play the commercial like in the first spot.
Yeah.
That's why, because I was like, normally the Slim Jim commercial is like closer to the end, somewhere in the middle, but they played like the first commercial break.
Out of all the things to take Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. down, it was Slim Jim's money that was the most important thing in this, which is crazy. Of course. Out of all these years.
That's that old money.
I mean, it had to happen though.
Yeah, you can't snap into a Slim Jim whatsoever unless you got it inside the contract. And then think about it, they had just did this big promotional thing with LA Knight, Bianca Belair. Got a car traveling all these places, and then hey, listen, I'm gonna let y'all know right now, y'all got to get this nasty, get them up out of here, get them up out of here. we talk about over the past 2 years, we didn't have to deal with this nasty individual, like, and all of his accusations, and then when you look at that. You look at TKO. TKO as a company had to save face. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a brand new venture. You know what I'm saying? You're a brand new venture. You just now got created. Your name is on your name's inside the stock exchange. You just upboarded The Rock as a board member. Like you got a lot going on. And then you got this man with these accusations publicly, text messages, okay? And allegedly, him texting this stuff. Now, if you read the text messages, it sounds like a young person is texting because he's writing young people text, like capitalizing the U. Is Scott Steiner coming out? What's going on? Like,
my man.
Is that Jordan Grace? Is that Brian Breaker? Like, what's going on, dog?
Any Steiner member?
No, you good.
It's Petey Punk.
Nah. That's why I gotta get the other mic and get the pop joint on it, the filter. Because as soon as I thought I was quick enough too. I thought my finger was right here the entire time. I was like, I know it's gonna happen.
I was ready to hear holla if you hit me. I'm looking around now. Let me stop.
Shut up.
No, but yeah, man. I mean, you got all this going on, and I'm pretty sure the board was looking at all this, looking at all these text messages. You got TMZ picking it up, CNN, MSNBC. This thing has made national news, and I know
Wall Street Journal,
and I know at this point, you know, they were just sitting there looking at them like, we tired of them.
I'm assuming that after it went viral like it did, that had it not gone viral that way, I'm totally not sure that they would have got rid of him because we wouldn't have known.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever leaked it definitely wanted it to happen.
And the timing of it.
Yes, you had to make a move with the Royal Rumble right around the corner. Everything was on the line. Money was on the line. The TKO merger was on the line. Like everything, well, not the merger, but just the company. The Netflix deal right around the corner. They had so much positive press coming up, and then all of a sudden, just this train just derailed. I'm gonna tell you who I think leaked it. Y'all want to know who I think leaked it? I'm gonna go and say.
Okay, allegedly.
I'm gonna tell you who leaked it. Nick Khan. He had the most on the line. Boom. That's my opinion.
That's it. That's what you're.
That's not the opinion of Society and Pop Culture 101. That is BK's personal opinion.
Thank you.
It's Nick Khan.
Because it could be, for me, it could be almost anybody at this point.
For real, the man do seem to have a lot of enemies.
Got a lot of enemies.
And then, like a couple of weeks before that, his right hand man got boosted out of that.
Yeah.
Who? Kevin Dunn?
Kevin Dunn.
It's like the drama just don't stop.
It's wild the way it is, and I feel, and I've been listening to a lot of the legends talk about this. I listened to Eric Bischoff podcast talk about this. I listened to Mick Foley have somewhat of an opinion, and Teddy Long, which I really want to talk about Teddy Long because he was like, I'm not gonna get into this, but then went right on ahead and was like, it was probably John Laurinaitis' fault. I was like, yo, you just said you didn't have an opinion, my good sir. But they also had past animosities, so my man might be a bit biased on that.
But if you go back and read the documents, it says somewhere along the line that John Laurinaitis had to get a new phone because he got caught up.
Yo, what? I missed that.
It says John said maybe it's best that we that y'all don't text no more, just talk in person. Like I'm paraphrasing it, but basically they want to stop all communication through text. But between Vince and John, like they just ran their mouth too much.
Yeah, because Vince is out here showing the girls' photos to people, to the production team. I said girl, the young woman's photos to the production team. The most messed up part about all this is she was she had just lost her parents, so she was in a very vulnerable position.
Yeah, emotional trauma.
You know, she lost her parents. I think the house was about to be up for sale, or they was about to lose the house. She needed the money, and he came in as the savior to, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And gave her a job, and then allegedly proceeded to go on and sex traffic her to all the homies, including a UFC WWE champion that was not named, but everybody assumed it was Brock Lesnar. Now,
I did hear this story.
The thing about the Brock angle in this is he was pulled off of Supercards. So if it wasn't him, wow. Some apologies are definitely going to have to be made. But he was pulled off of Supercards, and then they just pulled him off the cover of the WWE 2K24 game before it even released.
And if you look at the videos that's been released, like building up with Roman Reigns' his title reign, they don't even show Brock's face. Like they show a shot of Brock underneath the announce table, you know, after Brock had used the tractor trailer to flip it over the ring and all that stuff. They show like the end of the match, like Brock underneath the table. They don't show his face, and you know he fought Roman Reigns at least twice for the title.
For the title.
So this is gonna be a weird situation because now WWE 2K24 may have to redo some things with their with the Legends mode, you know, the WrestleMania 40-year journey edition, because I'm pretty sure his match is on there at least twice. He definitely
got to have at least 3.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar on the showcase, and then there's gonna be a Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, or I'm sorry, a Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker. I'm sorry, Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker and Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Those two are definitely going to be on there. So Lesnar versus Kurt Angle, like there's a lot of moments that's going to be on that video game that they're going to have to go and redo.
Even down at the weekend of the Royal Rumble, they took Brock right up out that boy like it was like just a regular Tuesday, and they replaced him with Braun Breaker.
Yeah, they told Brock Lesnar, "Hey,
we gonna holler at you.
Let me holler at you. Let me holler at you real quick."
They pulled him to the side, like, just stay at home, my guy. Don't even come this way.
Boy, listen here. Let's regroup. It's not it. it's this not it, boy.
You know, Triple H is like, hey, Brock, listen, I need you to lay low for a couple of days and we'll call you. He ain't calling back, Brock. It's a wrap. Over. Because this man got photos for him to, the photos was to coerce him to sign back with WWE. And now that WWE and UFC have merged, where's Brock gonna go? He might as well stay on this forum at this point. I agree with Eric Bischoff. You might as well stay on the forum, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at the website, 99% of his merchandise is on sale. They trying
selling them?
Man, they trying to pack my boy up out of here.
The fact that it's gonna be weird not seeing Vince and Brock are two of like the main pillars of WWE. That's wild to me, but what has to be done has to be done. You know what I'm saying? Lines are definitely crossed. You did too much. You hurt someone.
We even say the nasty part. You know, there's a lot of nasty things that I can mention right now.
I don't know if we want to talk about those. I don't know what you guys want to go with it, because that was one scene, because it's more than just like the main wrestling people that is involved in this. A physical therapist was involved in one of these as well. Like Vince was just out here, you gonna do what I tell you to do. Like he had a sexual slave or something. The way he had this girl just out here doing whatever. Like I said, showing it to the production team, setting out to the setting her up in the threesome with the physical therapist.
Threesome with John Laurinaitis. When you okay.
I'm shook.
I'm just gonna say it. You can edit it out later. But this guy is a nasty dude. Okay? He allegedly named sex toys, dildos at the wrestlers, black wrestlers, mainly black wrestlers, and some white wrestlers. He also had an obsession with black penises. And in the text message, he says, I want to see you with all three of your holes stuffed by big black. Finish the statement.
Whoa. So
what the?
This is so hard to wrap my head around. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm sorry, BK. Can you click that little clip right next to mine?
Sure.
We sick and tired. That's the one. That's the one. That's the one.
My man that came to the show with graphics. That's a GOAT level.
That's GOAT level. That's GOAT level.
He is a nasty allegedly a nasty individual. The fact that you named toys at the black wrestlers, and we even talk about the number 2.
Yeah, because the number 2 on the girl head was wild, bro. That's the one with the physical therapist.
That's that.
So
the physical therapist. I'm right. Yeah.
So I don't think I heard all of this though. So
the text messages was damaging, like super damaging.
I think I saw people talking about it, and I just didn't want to go and find it myself. I think that's what happened. Because this is...
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole you don't want to fall into.
And that's what I've been doing lately, is staying away from rabbit holes.
Let's see. What else are we... Because before we get too far off into talking about all the test matches, because I really don't want to get too deep into that. I'm trying to keep it PG today. We way past that. We PG-13 now.
PG-13.
With all the lawsuits and everything that's been going on here, I think the part that we and a lot of people are missing in this is the fact that she is also suing the WWE, which is a reason TKO was so apparent on getting him up out of here, because a lot of this stuff happened on the clock in the offices, and that is extremely, like, all of this is crossing the line. I don't even have words to talk about it. It's all horrendous. It's all terrible. It's all nasty. It's gross. It's heartbreaking. But on the legal point, WWE might have to pay up some money here.
Even though she was getting paid. And this all came about right after he was supposed to pay her like $3 million, and he missed his payments. He decided not to pay her, which is and this is why something's the part that I can't wait for this everything to come out, because I'm like, why didn't he pay her? Like, he had that money. He got it now.
Why didn't he pay her? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, what was the thing that he was like, nah, I'm not paying you? What happened? Is this all untrue? Because Vince said he was gonna fight this. John Laurinaitis said that he was a victim in this.
A victim, yeah.
Damn victim.
We know there's got to be other people. Kevin Dunn's exit for me, and again, allegedly here, but Kevin Dunn's exit was a little suspicious for me. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I didn't think Kevin Dunn was ever leaving, and then all of a sudden Kevin Dunn is retiring. Like, and then 2 weeks later this drops. Which means
talking about the same Kevin Dunn that produced Total Divas.
Yeah, that guy. The same Kevin Dunn that had words to say to Naomi / Trinity about her championship and a few other things. Like, Kevin, we don't like you, bro. So whatever happens, if you involved in this, they're gonna run you through the ground, my guy. The whole internet is coming for Kev.
Oh yeah,
they're coming for Kev. I think that's pretty much everything, I believe. Yeah. We just waiting on the fact that the FBI raided Vince McMahon's house. So there's more to this than just this lawsuit that Miss Grant is dropping. We're gonna find out some other stuff as well. It's so convoluted. It's so many twists and turns here. The fact that he used the money to those NDAs that he forced to sign. WWE they had no knowledge of him doing that. He did that on his own, gave them their money on his own through the company. Like, you can't do that. It's publicly traded company. Everything is supposed to be on record.
But you know what? You know what makes me put a question mark like above my head, a little light bulb? Remember when the company was just doing those mass releases?
Yeah.
And you remember like when the company would just start releasing talent? What if, allegedly, what if some of that was to pay hush money to somebody he was tricking with? Because you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is a what if situation, but just think like you ever sit there like, damn, like, why did they release this person?
And there was a lot of great talent being released too.
You know, you could have kept this. I mean, this guy was doing good. Why'd you? And now you look at all these lawsuits, and you look at the NBAs and the people he was paying hush money. It's like, oh, maybe he had to cut some contracts to pay, and pay the costs.
I think it was even weirder on the side of some of the people that they released in the office too, because they were releasing people that was actually doing work. Like they weren't just releasing some fodder of people. They were releasing people that's been with the company for 30, 40 years or however long Vince been there. Like these people was tenured that was left that was taken out of his company doing those mass releases.
Mm-hmm.
So Novocaine, overall, how do you feel? What are your thoughts? I should say, what are your thoughts on all of this overall?
My mind is fully blown. Like I said, I knew certain things was going down, but like the text messages.
Wow, like
I'm speechless.
what
can I say? What can I say about it? They could go to hell. I mean, other than that.
Okay. So
I just don't understand why every time like these people, no matter who these people are, they get this power and they just be doing some big wild shit.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's something about, how we as humans are still animals at the end of the day. So they think that they, could do whatever they want. But I don't like it.
It's some nasty stuff. I mean, when you look at it, right? People in power have a history of doing this type of stuff. Yeah. Right? Now, look at what happened with Diddy and Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then somehow you got other people tied into it, like TD Jakes and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look back at Vince McMahon's tweet about partying with Diddy in 2014. Makes me kind of believe, I don't know, maybe he was kicking it with Diddy, and I don't think Vince McMahon told him no. You got to tell him no. You got to tell him no.
You
made me
start. Was it Scott Hall was telling the story about Vince telling him that? Telling him about I'm gonna say allegedly because Vince ain't never corroborated this, but about a little game moment that he had when he was a little younger, when he was trying to convince him to do the story with Goldust back in the day. Also, Vince created Goldust too. So.
Well, if they in power and they doing all the alcohol and all the drugs, they will swing anyway. I promise you that. What they say, a spaghetti noodle is straight until they get wet.
What?
I am writing that down.
I'm just saying. And we know getting wet could be a lot of different things in the slang. So
my final thoughts on Vince, and to bring this back around to the original principle here. Does the character overlap with the real person? Absolutely, it does. There's a bit of affluence here. I think and I'm no psychologist or anything, but I'm just saying, again, allegedly, this is just my opinion here. There's a bit of the affluence thing. Like you said, these people do the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing and the Diddy thing, the Weinstein stuff. It seems like once you get a certain amount of money, or if you didn't come from that type of money, and then you all of a sudden accumulate that money, your ego gets inflated. But a lot of the stuff that you may have went through on your climb to get to that affects who you are once you get that money. And for Vince, it was starting with his father telling him that, no, you can't do this. Basically, and trying to get to that company, all the fighting and stuff he had to do, he was working for him for a young age. Before he even worked for him, he had to go to college, get his business degree. He had to build himself up to prove to his dad that he could. It's just me saying, speculating here and filling in the blanks. Probably had to prove to his dad that he belonged. Now, this is a boy, a preteen that didn't have his father until he was 12. there's definitely a power dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Look at how he controlled his company. Look at how he controlled people. Look at the contracts after the people were leaving. How long he said, no, you can't work after I release you from my company. I fire you. You can't work for 3 months. I get to decide whether or not I want to extend your contract if you get hurt and your contract run out. Everything he's done, while yes, it was to make his company Teflon, there's still a power dynamic that he feels like he has to have that control over people. And I think that's the most important part that I think a lot of people are missing. And it came off into that. It came off in that into the character, the Kiss My Ass Club, forcing women to do all these different things, forcing people to do some of the grossest stuff that they didn't want to do, messing with people in the back. Like Big Show brought a inflatable mattress when he first signed with WWE, and Vince crawled across the floor and poked holes in them. Or when a lot of the people was getting hazed in the back, he turned and looked the other way. Hell, he was doing the hazing too. Mark Henry's feces sandwich. You know Vince laughed. He probably was like, do it.
Shit. A feces sandwich alone.
I think that was Triple H. When that Triple H did that to Mark, I feel
Wait
like
a minute.
Oh, speaking of Triple H, the black that wasn't on TV. That was one of those back stories. We're gonna say allegedly because those are wrestlers telling stories on podcasts in like the early 2000s. I be watching.
Okay.
The blackface DX. I forgot about that to just now. When it was going against Vince is a wild dude, man. Going against the Nation of Domination. Thanks, JT. Like Vince is a wild boy. That power dynamic, the ability he gained, and all the power moves he played was just deep down was probably just to say, "Look, Dad, I did it better than you."
That's why this.
What was the last thing he said before he went out that first time? I built this company, and I can destroy it. And he tried, but he failed. Closing thoughts, anyone? That was my closing thoughts.
Don't get caught in South Central while drinking your juice in the
hood. Don't get caught in Connecticut while drinking your Dom Perignon on the beach.
Closing thoughts. Connecticut got beaches.
I don't know. No.
They might. No, are they on the coast? Yes.
Do they got beaches though?
I know New York got beaches, and I feel like Connecticut is right next door. So maybe I'm about to Google it. But what I was gonna say for closing thoughts is that whatever you do out here in this world, no matter what, it's gonna come right back to you, bruh. Choose wisely.
Closing thoughts for me is it ain't tricking if you got it, but if you got it, then you tricking.
Yes, thank you. I've been saying this for years.
My closing thought is I hope that if anybody, whatever they did, and if they are proven to have done the things that they've done, especially to this young lady, I hope the law comes down on them.
Same.
Drop the hammer.
That's my closing thought. Drop it. If it's true, drop it.
In Connecticut.
Yeah, there are beaches. Yes, it's a lot of them too.
Yes. My quote still stands, baby. Shout out to T-Lo for being petty, by the way.
They got
pettiest of them.
12 beaches in that little city.
12?
That little state.
That little state. 12.
That's not bad. I mean, it's on the coast. So I was like, it's on the coast, so it would make sense.
I was thinking it was
I thought it was somewhere in there.
We're on like a 1 minute warning. So let's end this.
Oh.
We can chatter about the beaches of Connecticut after the recording. Okay. First and foremost, I would like to thank you, JT, for coming through as the guest
Yes.
instructor. My bad, that's the wrong one. Boom, that's the right one. Thank you for coming in as a guest instructor. Definitely enjoyed you
Yes.
being here. Your insight was incomparable. Glad you were here, most definitely. Is there
Yes.
anything you would like to say? People find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so definitely want to thank y'all for having me come through the classroom. Glad I could be a speaker for the students out there listening. Students, pay attention if you will. You can find this fine podcast the same places you can find this podcast. Whether that be on the Book of Faces, whether that be on YouTube, the Twitter, now known as X, the IG, the TikTok. You can find us on Threads. We don't use probably half of those things that we name, but you could probably most likely find us.
You gonna find us?
Yeah, you gonna find us on Twitter, and you gonna find us possibly on IG on story mode. But make sure you definitely following along. Make sure you sharing the content. Make sure you continue to support this show. Support this show. Okay, I'll say it again. Support this show. Because what they are doing for the culture is going to be immaculate when it's all said and done. Thank y'all for having me. Y'all family at the end of the day. So
yeah,
this ain't this like coming to my cousin's house real quick.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, we definitely cousins at this point.
This kinfolk.
Kinfolk. There it is.
What's up, cousin?
It is.
Cousin.
Hey man, if you had been with us in Vegas, that would have been hilarious too.
For sure, man. For sure.
All right. So Novocaine, let them know what they need to do for us.
Head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating. Also head over to Spotify, follow us, like us, and give us a 5-star rating on there.
Do me a favor, make sure you cite your sources. That's usually Novocaine's line, but I'm stealing it today. Make sure you cite your sources. I have been Instructor BK.
I'm Instructor Novocaine.
That's Instructor JT. And we're going to catch y'all on the flip side. Stay in school and don't do drugs.